This is Shoots and Scores Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey. I am John.
I'm Mike.
I am Chris.
All right, guys, let's go. Now, the first topic for discussion this evening is the playoff race. It's heating up in the Western Conference. And as the season rolls on, I want to ask both Mike and Chris, the both of you guys, who is going to get that last playoff spot in the West and why they believe it to be the case. Now, I put as of Tuesday here, but I went back and I rejiggered the points after last night's game. So as recently as we have, 7th place the Wild. Now I know I have here they're 8 points. I think they're only 6 points ahead of 8th spot. Now we're just going to tap them out and say, okay, they're going to make it. Now so we're just going to work on the 8th spot. So we're going to assume that last 8th spot is the one that's up for grabs, and Vancouver's in that spot, and they have 75 points. The Blues also have 75 points, but they're listed in 9th spot. The Flames have 73 points, and Utah have 71 points. Gentlemen, who's it going to be? Now, we're going to start with Chris here this evening. What do you think, Chris?
It's really hard to handicap all these teams when they're all average teams. You know, they can win 5 in a row, they can lose 5 in a row, and then you try to say, okay,
you mean kind of like what we were talking about Columbus last week and how great they were scoring?
Columbus bit us in the butt this week. So the eye test to me is I thought Vancouver probably was the lead, but then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go check and see what the analytics say, and they're all over the St. Louis Blues getting that last spot. And I think one of the big things I noticed was that when the new coach came in from Boston, when he took over, Montgomery, the Blues analytically has flipped the script. You were in the bottom of, not scoring, giving up chances, and now they're outscoring and outchancing the other team. So it's been a big change in St. Louis, and probably a little bit of the goaltending.
Right, yeah, I think the goaltending would have something to do with it.
A little bit of help there too. The Blues, but again, who knows? I believe they play tomorrow, and I'm sure the winner it's going to be a big boost for their chance of getting that spot. Calgary, I love the goaltending in Calgary, but the team, I don't think they can score enough. I think they'll eventually. And Utah's goaltending and defense, I'm not fans of that either. So I think it is a 2-horse race.
Well, when I made up the question, Utah and the Flames were tied, of course, and then all those teams won the other night, but Utah's the one that lost, so they lost ground. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with Chris. St. Louis, since the Four Nations Cup, clearly the better team when you're comparing them with the other ones that are in contention. They've been far more consistent. I believe that gave Binnington a confidence boost playing in that tournament because, I think he's lost 2 games since the tournament. He's been playing really well. So they've got 3 lines that are scoring. They're checking. The Montgomery's got that team playing a good system there now. The defense is chipping in. Fowler's played well since he's gone there. Justin Falk has started to play better. So, if I'm picking, I pick St. Louis. You look at the other teams that are there. I mean, Calgary, the moves they made to get Frost and Farabee haven't done anything. They have been just as bad there as they were with the Flyers. So
well, you kind of said that was probably happen.
I actually, thought they would play better in Calgary because there's a little bit more of an offensive dynamic there than there is in Philadelphia. So, however, they have not played well at all. Frost has a handful of points, and I think so does Farabee, and they've been there for over a month now. So they haven't done anything to help that team out as far as I'm concerned. And the Flames tend to be a first-line team, and they don't get a lot of scoring from their depth guys lately. It's always, Huberdeau and Kadri and, the top guys. And the defensemen chip in a little bit. But they've got the goaltending. Wolf has played very well, but I don't know if this is going to be some of the most games he's played in a season as a starter. So the NHL level, we've always noticed that the goalies tend to have a tougher time in the second half when they're playing more games than what they're used to playing. So,
True.
um, and I mean Vancouver, I just don't know what you're getting with that team. Like they're really hit or miss. The goaltending, I mean, they haven't had Demko in a while, so they've been relying on Lankinen all year. Quinn Hughes just came back, so that should help them out a little bit. It's going to be a battle, I think, to the end, regardless. Like that spot's only going to be decided probably the last week of the season, but I got to give the edge to St. Louis as well. I don't think Utah's got enough in the tank to get there in the end either. So go St. Louis.
Okay. Well, so coaching change and goaltending. Goaltending confidence and coaching change seems to make all the difference here, perhaps. Huh? I mean, it makes sense. Bennington did win the Four Nations Cup. I'm sure he felt pretty good after that. Seems like it's carried on. And the
Yeah, and
coaching.
like I said, they got three lines that are scoring goals now. The first line with Thomas and Buchnevich are scoring. Holloway's scoring with Cairo. Braden Shen is playing like third line, and he's getting points with Bolduc and those guys. So they're getting scoring through with their lineup. And, like I said, the defense is chipping in too. So it's their spot to lose, I think. And I mean, right now they're not even in the spot, but the way they've played, I think that they're probably the team to beat when it comes to the 8th spot.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on to our second question then. Now, I was reading an article on NHL.com, and the title was, and I quote, Landeskog making strides and potential comeback with Avalanche. That was the title of the article. He has been out since June the 26th, 2022, helping the Avalanche win the Cup. Will Landeskog come back and play this year with the Avalanche? And if so, how rusty is this guy going to be after being out for that long? What do you say, Mike? Let's start with you.
Well, I think he's going to come back. I mean, I thought he was going to come back earlier than this, but I
Right.
think they're probably going to just hold him out until the last maybe handful of games or right up until the playoffs. The cap is an issue there. Um, it's a bonus getting him back in the lineup. Is he going to be rusty? Sure. But I mean, the first part of this is getting him out there practicing, doing line rushes with these guys, maybe getting a little bit of power play practice time in. But he's a bonus to a team that's played very over the last month. So getting him back is like, it's a free player that, potentially a point a game player or close to. So he's always been a hard worker. They made him captain for a reason. So um, I think it's a great move if he comes back, and I think it really gives Colorado a boost going into the playoffs.
What do you say, Chris?
33 months. Is my math right?
Yep.
30
You are correct.
months. And the injury he has is the same that retired Kessler. Is that correct?
That I'm not sure,
It
actually.
was a knee. It's a knee injury. So
Knee
I thought
injury.
Kessler was a hip, was it not?
Okay. That's a long time. I
Like
thought he
cartilage
was still
replacement is what he had done. So
a what replacement?
knee cartilage
Knee
replacement.
cartilage.
So yeah.
So he's that's a long time. That's a long, especially since I know at the beginning of the season he was just skating on his own. I did see that he actually skated in a practice. I believe it was yesterday or the day before.
Yes. Well, I think
And
that's
it,
why this article came up, was because he
yeah,
skated in the practice.
and it wasn't a yellow jersey or a red jersey, which
No.
means he was available to be bumped. So that's a real good sign. The problem is going to be playing in the NHL is not like riding the bike, right? We've seen, back in the years when these guys held out for contracts and showed up in December and January, they were bad, right? I think the latest one's
True.
Nylander, right? They were bad for the rest of
It's
that
true,
season.
yeah.
You riding the bike, skating on your own, you can't replicate playing in the NHL, and I think that's probably going to be his biggest hurdle. You could stick with McKinnon, and McKinnon will probably make him look good, but then I'm sure the analytics will show that he's going to be struggling to contribute. If he plays, it'll be the fourth line, but I don't. Maybe a boost in the locker room. I don't know about a boost on the ice.
So the next part I have to this is: do the Avalanche even need Landeskog? I mean, come on, they're 8-1-1 in their last 10. Now you said fourth line. Do you think that's where he would play? Would be the fourth line?
I just don't see him. You're not getting 2022 Stanley Cup champion Landeskog coming through that door, right? So, again, it'd be probably a good boost for morale, but I just don't see him actually producing and helping them drive the winning. I can't see it. Much history shows that guys with long layoffs don't do well.
What do you think, Mike? Would he be a fourth line player?
I think, probably starting off, to see where he's at physically and what he's capable of. That's probably where they're going to bring him in just to limit his minutes. I don't think he's not going to go in there and start playing 20 minutes a night. It's not going to happen. If he gets 10 minutes a night just to get himself back, in the feel of things, basically. However, I think the potential of playing third line in a checking role is there for the playoffs because he's always been a good defensive player. So,
Okay.
Who knows? I mean, it all depends on how things go as far as his recovery and that sort of thing goes, as well as how he reintegrates himself onto the team. I mean, I know they may not want to shake things up too much, whereas they've been
Right.
playing well. So, like Chris said, I think coming in a fourth line role and then seeing what happens, or moving up a line to the third line, or filling in for someone if they get hurt, type of thing. So, but they're not going to be relying on him to go out there and play the way he did in the past. So,
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to our third topic then. Now, that is Carolina. We have to talk about Carolina. We have Chris here. We have to bring up Carolina as much as possible. Now,
It's
the
in the
Carolina
contract.
Hurricane, what's that?
It's in the contract.
It's in the contract. That's right. The Carolina Hurricanes and how they have moved up in the standings to second place, going 8-2 in their last 10 games. Now, Chris, you told us a few times already that the Stanley Cup, although nice to win, and I'm sure every team wants to win it, wasn't really the main focus this season. So I think the obvious question to ask you is if they're not supposed to win it this season and they're in second place in the conference, how good are they going to be next year?
Really good. Really good. Like I said in the last few shows, they're setting themselves very nicely for next year. But while they lost a lot of pieces this previous summer, and now they've lost Natchez, the core players are still there, right? Aho, Slavin, they still have a good core. They're always going to make the playoffs again this year. Like, that was never in doubt. I know there was experts out there doubting that after they lost those guys in free agency, but that was never in doubt. So they're exactly where I thought they were. I would feel more confident if Brett Burns' play hasn't dropped as much as it had this year. And I don't see Rod, making the hard decision to say we're going to cut back your minutes. Now, the big rumor today, or article that came out today, is that Kishkin could be coming over. They might be, is there already agreement that they'll cancel his contract as soon as the season's done? It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but he is a left shot. Burns is a right. But overall, Carolina's in a good spot. They'll probably do what they do in the last 6 years. They might win a round or two, but I think eventually Burns and the depth of the scoring is going to catch up to them. But then next year, full speed ahead.
Mike, you have anything to add to that? What do you think?
Well, I mean, to add on a little bit to what Chris said is, I think Carolina is more geared towards next year as well. However, I mean, it's not like they are a non-contender this year. Their goaltending's been good enough. Their defense has been good. The forwards, they've been getting production throughout the lineup, so they're fairly well balanced already. And now, they've just recently brought Morrow up from the minors, and he's played well in the time that he's put in. Like, he's not getting top minutes or anything, but he's played well in his role. So, and then if Nikishin comes over, and I'd be a little surprised if the KHL team let him go before the playoffs were done, though. And I know that the KHL season is longer this year than it was last year. So whether he gets over here, in time, remains to be seen. However, he's going to be the guy that replaces Burns next year, and he'll step right into Burns's role and play his minutes. He's played excellent in the KHL, so he's going to take that spot at a fraction of the salary too. So, and I don't know if you recall, but at the start of the season when we did our kind of
Yeah,
boom and bust picks, I had already put Brent Burns in the bust pick.
you did. Yes, I remember.
His performance started to decline a little bit last year, and aging another year, and the physical play that he's used to playing, it always catches up to these guys, and it just so happened that this is the year. But he can go in there and play a second line, third line defense role, and like Chris said, the coach needs to really maybe tone the minutes down just a little bit. But maybe that's perhaps why they brought Morrow up to get his feet wet so he could take a little bit of the pressure off. So um, we shall see what happens come playoff time.
I don't like you picking on my favorite Vikings actor there, Brett Burns. You got to stop doing that, Mike.
Well, I'll be honest. Brent Burns has been a great fantasy hockey player for years, especially
Yep.
when he was had the forward eligibility. So, because then you could put him for people that are in pools that use positions. You could put him at forward or defense, which made him like one of the most valuable players to have. Because back then he was putting up like 70 points a season. So, but Father Time has caught up. So
He's 40 years old now. Yep.
Catches up to everyone eventually.
Is he 40?
So,
40.
No.
He turned 40. Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that old. I know he was drafted way back by Minnesota.
Yeah. And the big 20, the draft was Stahl and all of them, right? That was Brett Burns.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So on the KHL thing, yeah, their season wraps up next week. SKA is in the playoffs. There will be a lower seeded team, so that's why the excitement is, hoping that they'll get knocked out, and then probably first week in April he might be on his way.
Yeah.
If not, their contracts go till end of May.
Yeah, exactly.
But it sounds like they already have some type of agreement with SKA to let him go. And I don't know exact details, but I believe he would be almost like a college guy where you sign a 2-year deal, but if you come in this year, it burns a year, right? And it gets him quicker to restricted free agency. So I'm sure that's why he wants to get here and take a roster spot.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. Of course he does. I don't blame the guy.
Him coming over early could be the little bit of the trade-off for letting Kuznetsov out of his contract to go over there and play. So conveniently on the same team.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as long as everyone's getting their piece, everyone's happy.
So what are the chances then of Carolina winning the Eastern Conference? Getting through 3 rounds of the playoffs?
New Jersey is beatable. Washington, I've already spoke about, I think Washington's playing over their heads right now. They're due to come down. So, yeah, I think probably analytically, I'm sure the bettors are probably seeing Carolina making it to the conference finals. Then you're running into some really elite teams, and then that's where maybe the lack of scoring might catch up, or the youth that they have in this group.
Right. What do you say, Mike? You agree with that?
I see them beating New Jersey. I don't think New Jersey, without Hughes and Hamilton, are going very far in the playoffs. Now, if they had those two, different story, but those guys aren't replaceable. So I see Carolina knocking New Jersey out. I mean, Markstrom hasn't played the greatest either since in the last month and a half. So the matchup with Washington, I mean, it's a matter of does Washington run out of gas? Because, I mean, if they can maintain their offense the way they're going, it's going to be a good matchup. So that's a tough one to call. Like we've been thinking Washington is going to slow down since October, and they
Right.
haven't.
Yep.
So you know, so it's tough to say. That's going to be a good matchup. It could go either way, but yes, once they start playing the teams in the Atlantic Division, that's where they're going to potentially have some issues if they get there. Because I don't think Florida and Tampa Bay are going to be tough teams or are going to be easy teams. Sorry, to knock out of the playoffs. Those are the two elite teams in the Atlantic, and it's going to be one of those two that they would end up playing against, I think. So,
Okay. All right. Well,
You
let's
got to
go on.
mention Toronto too. Come on, Whitey's here. Come
ooh,
on, you got to mention Toronto
Toronto.
just in case.
I'm
Just in
not
case. You never know what's
Playoffs?
going to happen.
crossing my fingers.
I would kind of hope that Toronto gets there if I'm Carolina and they're there, right? I would hope for that too.
Bagel's hoping that Toronto knocks out those Florida teams.
Hey, maybe they will. Maybe they will. They seem to know how to score on Bobrovsky.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing with Washington is Carolina's only played them once so far, and I think it was back in November.
Well, they must
They
play them
have
a couple more times before the end
they
of the
have
season.
two games, yeah, April 10th and I think maybe the week after next week they play. So those will be kind of the where are you at type of
Right.
games. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go on to our fourth topic, and that is, of course, the Columbus Blue Jackets, because they have not had a great last 10 games, going only 4-6 in their last 10. They were sitting in a playoff spot when we were talking last week, and now they are in 11th spot in the conference, 3 points behind the Canadiens. Now, the five teams that are fighting for this last spot, the Rangers are 1 point back. New York Islanders, Detroit, and Columbus are all 3 points back. And the favorite Boston Bruins are 4 points back. Gentlemen, any thoughts? What do you think? Let's start with Mike.
Uh, yeah. Well, it's funny because Columbus was the kind of surprise team of of the year, other than Washington, I think.
Yep.
So, for them to be where they are, I'll be honest with you. Before the season, and if you had told me they'd be in the race right now for eighth place, I'd have laughed at you because I wouldn't have thought that they would have a chance. But they persevered and they've played very well up until, like you said, the last 10 games has been rough. Um, and the thing is they're playing against some of these teams that they're fighting to get a
Yeah.
playoff spot from.
That's the bad part. These are the
That
teams, some of them they need to win, and they
That's
are not winning those
exactly it.
games.
So, and this is where most of the games, the last 20, 25 games of the season, you're mostly playing against teams that are in your conference for the most
That's right.
part.
Yep.
So, if you're losing games against the teams that you're trying to stay ahead of, then it's going to be very difficult to stay ahead. Montreal, big surprise to see them do what they're doing lately, in my opinion. So the Rangers, not surprised that the Rangers are doing well because we thought they'd do well all year for the most part, but they had that rough patch and it extended and extended, and they seem to starting to get their feet under them again. So it's gonna be a battle right to the last week or a few days for that last spot in the East.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, Boston toast.
Yeah.
Red Wings, they've been toast ever since Yzerman showed up. The Yzer plan is a fail. They've drafted well, but every trade and free agent he signed, terrible. Islanders, do not trust in Lou. Right, that's he's done. I
Man,
don't
the
know.
Islanders, they just seem to not want to quit. Those Islanders,
They stick around.
they're
Well,
always
they got an elite
they're
goalie.
they're on the
Yeah,
ass end. They're
they got a
nibbling.
goalie, and that's it, though.
It's the goalie. Yeah, if they win that 1-0 game, whoo, Patrick Roy's happy, right? That's their joy in life. The Rangers,
They're
all year
only
long,
they're only 5-5-0 in their last 10, I believe.
yeah, but all year long that there's something wrong there, and they've traded a lot of guys, and it's still like that Calgary going in there and doing what they did. It's that's their season right there, right? Like what's happening in New York land. And they also have got played 2 extra games, right? So
Right. Yep.
all the teams have games on hand of them, so that really hurts the Rangers. Blue Jackets, yeah, we were bragging about them last week, saying how they can score goals, and they got shut out twice. So, but I know one of the games got shut out. They had 46 shots, I
Right.
believe.
Yes, they did have a lot of shots.
So
Yep.
it seems like their game is still there, just it wasn't going in. Montreal is hot. Um, yes, running, that one line is scoring a lot of goals. Um, they're they're doing very well, and you would have to think that right now they would be the favorites to hold on to that spot.
I was saying Montreal's got 2 games coming up against the Flyers, so those are going to be tough
Oh,
wins, you know.
so those
So
guaranteed win nights, that's 4 points. Yeah, I think the Habs are a lock, Whitey. I think they're a lock.
Okay.
But it's hard to say Montreal. Like I don't know if they've really turned the corner, or is it again one hot line pushing through? And of course,
Well,
Lane Hudson is still, putting up a ton of points and looking really good at what he's doing. Right, so
defensively, he's not great, but offensively, he is fantastic. On that power play, he runs that power play like a pro.
yeah,
From what I've seen.
it's like Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes, right? East Coast Quinn Hughes.
Right, right. And I believe Montreal's been playing really well. I mean, if you go back and you look at it, I think it's about 7 weeks.
Yeah,
They've been playing really well.
I know they beat Carolina a couple of weeks ago too, and I don't think Carolina played well, but Montreal looked good again.
Right. So, okay. All right. Well,
We had that Mikko Ratten in our team, and he was just sucking
yeah,
the life out of
I had to
the.
get rid of him, right? And then
Yeah,
everything was great once you got rid of the potential 100-pointer. All right, gentlemen, we're going to leave that part there, and we're going to go on to our Hockey Profit segment where I say that you too are the Hockey Profits, even though we did screw up on Columbus last week. But you never know. They could start winning again and start scoring goals. It's not the end of the season yet, so anything's possible. I've got my
we
timer.
jinxed them last week.
I think we did jinx them last week. I've got my timer already. We're going to start with Mike. Are you guys ready for the Hockey Profit segment, gentlemen?
let's go.
All right, number 1, Mike. Who's going to win the President's Trophy this year, Mike? Winnipeg Jets have 98 points. The Washington Capitals have 98 points. And the Capitals have 1 game in hand. What do you think?
I gotta lean towards Winnipeg, only because I think they're going to get some weaker opponents down the stretch than what Washington's going to get.
Okay, all right. Number 2, Chris. If you had to cheer for any other team other than Carolina in the NHL, what team would it be? I bet you're not going to say Washington.
No, definitely
The
not.
Flyers.
I've always had a soft spot for the Dallas Stars. I would say probably Dallas Stars.
Dallas? Okay, all right. Number 3, Mike. The player that annoys you the most right now in the NHL is?
I'll say Cam York. Yeah. You want to re-edit
Cam York?
So, yeah, Cam York.
Okay.
Most
all right.
overrated, underproductive player in the NHL.
Okay, number 4, Chris. Hot or not, the Vancouver Canucks, who are 5-5-0 in their last 10, but they now hold that 8th playoff spot. What do you think? Are they hot or not?
I know Elias Pettersson's starting to produce, but I think there's still some, and then Quinn Hughes is back, so I guess you could say they're hot, but I still believe the Blues will pass them.
Okay, that's fair enough. Number 5, Mike. The Flyers are, this hurts to even say it, 2-7-1 in their last 10 games.
Story checks out.
Is there anybody in the NHL you wish played on the Flyers?
How many other players are there in the NHL? Boys, there's only 2 Flyers that I like, and that's Konecny and Michkov. So, you could take. I don't want Frost or Farabee back. I will say that they can keep those guys in Calgary. But man, if we could get a Makar or a McKinnon, I'd be ecstatic.
Okay, number 6, Chris. What team would you rather not face in the Eastern Conference Finals, Chris? Like if there's a team you say, man, I really don't want to face them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
First I'll say I would like Florida to get the revenge from 2 years ago when they somehow swept us, even though we dominated them.
Oh yeah,
But
that's right. I remember that.
Tampa's knocked us out twice in the last 6 years, and Vasilevsky's always been the problem in their power play. So I think Tampa is the team I'd like to avoid.
Okay. All right, guys. That makes it for that. It's around 3.5 minutes. I mean, a little bit long, but that's all right. Now, Mike, before we end everything here, we have a tweet from X that Chris sent me that I have to bring up to you. Okay, it's from RonoAnalyst on X. Now, this is the quote from his tweet, Mike. You know that I never liked that Konecny re-signing from the Flyers perspective. Danny Briere has a big chance to show if he has the kahunas in the offseason. Trading Konecny before an NHL entry draft would be a great move for Philadelphia, I believe, especially when Mishkov is also a right winger. What do you think, Mike? Is RonoAnalyst on X, is this guy crazy or what?
Yeah, Konechny's not going anywhere, I don't think. Now, and here's the reason why. One is Philadelphia overpaid him. They paid him more money than what Florida gave Sam Reinhart. And Sam Reinhart is by far a more prolific scorer. Konechny is ideally on a top NHL team. He's probably a second line player. So, he's getting $8 or $8.5 million, something like that. But the Flyers are paying him to be their guy. So, you trade Konechny. I mean, the only way that you could trade Konechny is if you're getting a high end centerman back, because that's what the Flyers need more than anything. So, if they do that, are they going to get somebody that plays the Flyer way, so to speak? Now, with that being said, the Flyers are known to have a team full of two-way players, mostly grinders. So they're not used to having these high-end offensive guys play for them. So I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I was saying that the Flyers are going to be hard pressed to attract any offensive free agents based off of what they currently have in the lineup, because they don't have guys for these guys to play with. Basically, I mean, there's still talk that Pettersson could be on the move from Vancouver, but is Pettersson a fit in Philadelphia? I don't think so. Not his play style. So,
I don't think so.
I mean, the Rangers are rumored to move Zibanejad. Maybe he's probably a better fit in Philadelphia than Pettersson, but who knows? I just, as far as back to the Konechny thing, though, I don't think he's going anywheres. Um, a team to take on his contract too, because it's long term. It's 8 years, $8.5 million. Last couple of years probably are not going to age very well. So teams will factor that into play. So I don't think he's going anywhere at the end of the day.
So RonoAnalyst is, well, you don't think he's going anywhere, maybe he should be. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Well, I hope not. I like Konechny. He's a type of player that plays physical. He gets points. He would be a better player if he had a centerman to play with. Sean Couturier, and Ryan Poehling and all these guys. They're not even close to being the answer. So I mean, he's already. I mean, you look at Konechny's points. He's a point a game with no centerman, and he doesn't play with Michkov except a little bit on the power play. So he's getting points, but they're all basically produced from his hard work.
Okay, what do you think, Chris? You agree with any of that, or is Mike off his rocker, or what?
I know Carolina was sniffing around Konechny before he signed that extension, right? There were some discussions there trying to pull a trade for him. So I know Carolina sees the value in him, but Mike is right. That contract was rich last year, but now with the salary cap moving up next few years, it's going to look better and better.
True.
Again,
Yeah.
they are paying him more than Reinhardt, right? But Reinhardt took a little less, tax and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Rono was probably more thinking about last year before the extension. I
Right.
think he's trying to say probably should have traded him then and get some assets before instead of giving him that contract and that money.
Well, maybe, but that's not really what he's saying here. He's saying does Briere have the kahunas to trade him before the draft? But I mean,
he could be traded because of the cap going up. I think he would be an asset that other teams would be interested
all
in.
right.
And Carolina could be one of those teams too.
Well, hopefully, RonoAnalyst hears this and comes back and tells us where we are wrong. Maybe we should put this on his X account. See, paste the link on there. See what he says. All right, gentlemen. Was there anything else you wanted to go over this evening? We covered quite a bit of ground here.
Just to touch up a little bit on what Chris was saying about Vancouver and how Pettersson has stepped it up. The other side note to that is Brock Besser scored last night for the first time in 16 games. So, when basically your number 2 scorer is gone 16 games without scoring a goal, that's it's tough. I mean, and luckily Pettersson has played better lately. So, but Vancouver is going to have a tough go. I think St. Louis is going to give them a tough time here going into the last few weeks of the season.
Chris, anything else you want to add to tonight?
Yeah, I would like that Vancouver situation. They hired Rick Tocchet as their coach, but they don't seem to be giving him Rick Tocchet type players, right? So I think there's a disconnect going on in Vancouver between Rutherford, the GM Patrick Alvin, and Tocchet, and really just to see if changes occur in the off season with that organization.
All right, guys.
If anything, they traded away the only Rick Tocchet type player on the team, which was JT Miller. So,
right, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I think we're going to leave it there for tonight, guys. So, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments where we went wrong, because I'm sure we went wrong somewhere once again this week. And we will see you all next week. Later.
Later.